Hi there, friends. It's your favorite neighborhood nerd, Simone. I am outside with Max, which is where I spend all of my afternoons. Not necessarily this trail, but this is our home turf. So we're here probably 80% of the time. And it is what is keeping me sane. I wasn't sure if I was going to film the Making Diaries this weekend, but now that I'm outside, I think I should, because it's already February 1st. And if you didn't know, today is my 49th birthday. I bought myself cake. Originally, we wanted to go out for breakfast, but both my husband and my youngest aren't feeling the greatest, and so we decided to postpone this until probably 2 weeks from now. Yeah, so I want to tell you about my books, my knitting, my Happy Mail successes and failures. I want to tell you all of the things that are not paper related that I am planning to do in February, and the ones that I did or didn't do in January. So let's hang out. So let's start with reading. In January, I was able to read 7 books. I escaped quite a bit, and it did me well while I was on walks with Max. Every time I wouldn't listen to an audiobook, I started doom scrolling, and that was absolutely counterproductive to my mental health. The beauty of the nature around me is what's keeping me sane. And looking into my phone while I'm walking is the last thing that I want to do. But I was so tempted so many times. And so I made sure that I took my earbuds and my audiobook with me, and I had something to listen to every time I was outside. So that's why I was able to read 7 books. I read 6 audiobooks, 1 graphic novel that I started in June of 2025 and never really finished. But I'm so glad I did now. So the only thing that I need to do is get the second one and read that. Okay, so the first book that I read was One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It's a romance novel. It has substance. It is one of her earlier works. It was published June 7th, 2016. And what I wrote here is second chance romance, grief written in 2 timelines, 2 love stories. And here I quoted from a review that I found on Goodreads, which expressed perfectly what I was thinking. Woman has to choose between the husband she has long thought dead and the fiancé who has finally brought her back to life. I didn't think that I was interested in that type of romance and the inner, gut-wrenching decisions that this woman had to make, but I was with Taylor Jenkins Reid and the protagonist in this book from the beginning to the end. And I really want to explore her earlier works. I was able to put this on my holds list, and I was almost immediately able to listen to this. So backlist books from 2016 is definitely easy to do. Then I read a nonfiction self-help book when I just said earlier in January that I would not read stuff like that. It doesn't work for me. This one did. I put the other book by this author who is Casey Davis, I believe. The problem with my reading log is that I don't have the author unless I have the picture here, and I haven't filled my collage to print it out on sticker paper. So I'm guessing. It basically deals with "This made me cry so often," a really good guide to approach cleaning your house with handicaps. And that might be, I wrote handicaps in quotation marks, something that does not let you clean your house because you're overwhelmed, you have autism, ADHD, postpartum depression, any type of depression. Something is not right now. Might just be you're overwhelmed. Anything is valid. And what came out in this book and what I was really struggling with is there was so much compassion and a call to think and love, to think about and love future you. Just the care, that's a care job. And taking care of your house is also taking care of yourself. And I know this, but I never was told it so compassionately that I could accept it. So I'm trying to work on that and seeing it as loving myself by cleaning my house. It was definitely eye-opening. There's another one by this author about relationships, and I'm really curious to see what she has to say about that. Then I read a graphic novel, middle grade, The Girl and the Galdurian. It's part 1 of a graphic novel series called Lightfall. It was published September 1, 2020. This How to Keep House While Drowning was published April 25th, 2022. It is a fantasy novel, unlikely friendship. Bea and Cad go on a quest to save their world from falling into eternal darkness. It is just such a found family is definitely part of this. It's just such amazing art. The author or artist in this case is Tim Probert. I don't know how to pronounce this in English. This name is so German, I just can't but pronounce it German. Please let me know if you're interested in the recommendation sources. There is definitely, I'm trying to keep track of that more for my own curiosity's sake. But if that's something that you're interested in, where I found these books, please let me know in the comments down below. The next book was, so good. Released January 6, 2026. This is Front List, The Murder at World's End by Ross Montgomery. Historical fiction, crime, mystery. And it's a locked room mystery. It has quirky characters, punchy humor, and unique setup. There's short chapters, great dialogue. It's supposedly the first in a series, but since it just released in January 2026, there's not even a release date for the second one. The protagonists are an unlikely pair, and it's just, so many F-bombs in this book by the oldest member in this whole thing. It's just, I loved it from the start, and it has some twists and turns that you don't expect. Then I went with Lula Dean's Little Library of Banned Books. This book released June 14th of 2024, and I don't remember the author. I will put it on the screen right here. This is I think, her second book, and the first one is, if I'm not mistaken, called The Chance. This is a book that I'm going to put on my reading list because a lot of people praise that one as her just supposed to be so good. I really liked this one as well. All of the books that I'm telling you here, I liked. I'm trying to be very, very conscious of how I'm spending my listening time. And if a book doesn't work for me, I'll end it before I even, it will be in this list, but I won't tell you that I read it. This one is satire. It's contemporary fiction. I also listened to it, obviously. It's very thought-provoking, humorous, hyperbolic, yet rooted in reality, and it's very provocative. But same thing. The characters in this book are so diverse. They are extremely likable. There's good and bad. The bad characters are bad, the good characters are good. And I think because it's a satire and because it's so over the top, it works. If this wasn't declared as a satire, I would be like, okay, this is a little bit too much. But because it's satire, I think it works. And I would totally recommend this book, especially right now. And then what I have found recently is, and I think I also said that prior, I read 16 historical fiction books in 2025, and that genre is really working quite well for me, even though I'm not seeking out historical fiction books. They find me, and it's a type of world building that I enjoy, maybe because I already learned about it in history. It's already there, and there's not a lot to build upon. But not all of the historical fiction books are historically accurate, if that makes sense. And I still like them. So Murder at World's End is a historical fiction. The next one that I read is Bookbinder's Secret. It's also a historical fiction novel adventure. This was released January 13th in 2026. And it has a female protagonist. It is adventure. This woman knows what she wants. It is very voicey, and I'm not sure if this could have happened in this time. This is set in 1910, but I loved it nonetheless. Lillian Delaney, a bookbinding apprentice, finds part of a confession in a book. She wants to know more and gets drawn into an adventure that is both dangerous and amazing. Female driven. Oh, I loved it. Now, I'm not sure if this could have happened just the way it did actually in the 1910s, but I wish it did because it was just so good. And then the next one that I read, so definitely adventure, fast-paced books, stuff where stuff is happening, even if there's a lot of character development in those books, there needs to happen something for me to capture my attention right now. You'll Never Know. I think this made it to the Goodreads Choice Awards, and I heard a book podcaster talk about this. And so I thought, you know what, let me check this out, what this is about. And so I put it on my list. This is a wild ride. It's a thriller, released November 18th, 2025. Very fast-paced, lots of twists and turns. There's multiple points of views. There's multiple timelines. And I wrote, not super sure what to think about it. I loved it, but also it was very convoluted. And the ending was a little bit too tidy, but also I didn't really want for the main characters, want anything bad to happen to them, but also there couldn't be a happy ending. So yeah, that was weird. It was a weird book. It still kept my attention. I mean, it has Goodreads rated rates it at 4.1 and Storygraph at 4.02. So it's around the four-star mark for most of those books. All right, that's the book stuff. Let's talk about knitting. Oh, maybe I want to still continue my reading the way it usually is. Books come to me when the holds at Libby are ready for me, and then I just borrow them from the library, and that's how I choose the order in which I read my books. But I do want to make it a point to put some of the other novels by authors I had already listened to. I want to explore, what was her name here? Taylor Jenkins Reid on my list. I want to put the Lula Dean's Little Library of Banned Books, the first book of this author, on my list. So there is, I want to be more intentional in what I put on hold at the library, in going into backlist books a little more and exploring authors more that I have already read. I'm currently listening to The Poet Empress. It was a Skip the Line book, so I think it's 18 hours listening time, and I have until next Friday to finish. I'm a little bit focused on this, and I guess, or the way it's starting to develop, it seems to be a book where I will have a book hangover. So then when that happens and I still need a book to ruminate, I am then switching to podcasts mostly until I'm ready for another book. And then I look what is still here and available from the library. Sometimes I borrow a book or multiple books, and then I need to return it before I get to read it, stuff like that. I don't count these books as read or did not finish until I actually started listening to the book. Sometimes life just gets in the way and I have to return it before I get to actually read it. So, knitting. I put this into my hat that I was working on that I shared with you in the last video that I wanted to work on. I shared that with you last month and I wanted to make some progress. I put a progress keeper right here. This is a cat progress keeper, and as you can see, I was able to knit one more round. And for some reason, I just did not feel like working on my knitting. And so this is how far I got. And I will put this away for now. I was suspecting throughout the month that, so now what is happening? I haven't finished this. I haven't even continued knitting on this. Is this now a thing? Am I not knitting anymore? Was this just a December fluke with me and knitting, and now I'm back to not knitting for another 11 months? Am I just moving this over to February? What am I going to do with it? And this is supposed to be a hat. We are having the warmest times right now, and so this hat is not needed. What I will do is put it aside for now, pull out a different project, focus on that project for February, see how far I get, see if I'm more excited about that project, and I already picked it. I will show it to you, and then reassess in March at the end of February how that went. Now, I went through the projects that I do have quite a few projects that I had been working on before I hurt my shoulder. These are Christmas socks from the Cozy Knitter, and I started them a long time ago. And they're almost finished. And oh my God, what the hell? Do you see this? I hope this is not moths. Maybe it was a cat. Cats do this stuff often. Doesn't look like it's moths. There's nothing bitten through here. So this could be enticing. I could be able to finish this in February if I'm even wanting to pick up knitting. I looked through all the stuff, looked through what could make me want to pick it up. And I thought something that is almost done would be a good test on whether this is actually, like, knitting is actually something that I spend my time on, or maybe I'm just not in the right season at the moment. I am often super tired at night. I might journal in my notebook, and then that's it. And then I don't have the energy to pick up my knitting. Maybe that is going to continue in February, maybe not. But having these socks here is definitely something that might help me figure out what is going on. Now, I am not following a specific recipe except for the heel, but I don't know what heel this exactly is, which I followed. I eyeball my socks. I know how many stitches I need to start. I forgot those two. Maybe there's a paper in here. Yep. Okay, 64 stitches. Wow, this is some, for a journaler, this is some awesome, awesome. This is some awesome documentation right here, but that's exactly what I wanted to know. I usually cast on 64 stitches. This is how they turned out. I don't know what heel I followed. It looks like quite a dense heel. I do not like anything else but heel flap and gusset socks, so that's what I knit. And then when it comes to the toe, I am Googling a toe, and that's why I have two sets of needles. Because I don't document my knitting well, I need to do one step at a time. So when I'm knitting the cuffs, I'm knitting the cuffs here, then I'm switching to the next needle, knitting the cuffs over here, and even that doesn't look the same. Same with the heel. I am knitting the same heel at the same time. I just don't do it on a magic loop or anything. I just have two sets of double pointed needles and swap them around. And with these stripy socks, it's really easy because I can say I'm knitting this color here, then I'm knitting the color here, and then I'm knitting the next color, and then I'm swapping them around. So my socks will be as close in size and design as possible. So I was looking through this just earlier, and I was like, I'm not excited for any of this. But I think I picked the right thing because I am currently excited about this. So I cannot wait to start this and see where it goes. I do definitely need a boost, and finishing socks would be the perfect win that I could get. Happy Mail. There should be a photo up here. I told you that I was going to send thank you cards to all of the friends that I received Christmas cards from, and I think I was able to manage that. And I was really great in the beginning of the month. I addressed all the postcards, I put stamps on them, and then I wrote the first week of January, I wrote 4, and then I didn't do anything else until January 30th, when I was thinking about this video, and I was thinking about my projects that I had written down here. And I was like, man, I'm such a failure, was my first thought. And the second thought was, you know what? It's January 30th. I actually could sit down right now and whip them all out in one go and finish them. And that's exactly what I did. And I cannot tell you how proud I am of not, there's two me's in my, either I am accepting the challenge and I am finishing it all up, perfect, or I am one of those who say, I can't even, I don't even have to try because I won't be able to do it. There's never the one that says, if I am just going to start now and then I'll carry it over into February, at least I get 2 more cards sent. That would be nice. No, that's never Simone. Simone is either, wow, I'll be able to whip this out, and then she is actually whipping it out, or she's saying, nah, doesn't even make sense to try because I won't be able to do it. But Simone, who accepted the challenge, won. So I sent those out, all of them. I also sent out my friend package. There's a video on YouTube about it, and I could link that for you. Now, I did not send out the bookmark for my friend, and that was okay because I had to go to Michael's today and I found something that reminded me so much of her that I am really tempted to make this a charm for a notebook that she could put on her notebook. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. This already is a charm, but I bought more stuff. I will show that to you later. And I think I want to take one of those and put them on here so that it looks a little blingy and send that out to her with the bookmark, which would be cool because it's also her birthday month this month. So this is moving over to February. Food. I think I was so ambitious and shared some food making stuff on the last video. Nothing like that happened in January. I was just happy that I was able to get food on the table. It was my son's birthday on Monday, and I asked my youngest to make him a cake, which was cool. So we did that, but that was nothing that I did. However, maybe you saw this trend go around on social media where people put Biscoff cookies, I believe, with regular non-fat yogurt. And I saw that, and I bought ingredients last Monday for that, and I made it, and it tastes amazing. I am pimping it with, I bought vanilla non-Greek yogurt, and I bought frozen fruit, and I want to make a sauce and put it on top of it. But that is not what I'm doing. That's not ready yet, so we'll see how that's going to work out. I will report back on that on my next video. I'm not very ambitious right now to cook anything, so maybe that is also something that is Christmas related, break related, who knows. Outside, I wanted to go snowshoeing more. Did you know that we didn't have a lot of snow this year yet? I don't know if it's going to change, but there is no snow where I can go snowshoeing, or it takes like 1 or 1.5 hours to even get to the snow, and the snow isn't really good quality either. So I totally did not do a lot of snowshoeing in January as I had hoped or planned to do. I did, however, pivot, and I'm going to do that in February as well, as long as it's nice out, because it's super warm right now. We have this mountain right outside my window that we live at the foot of, and it is basically the one that never really has any snow because it's already too deserty here. And it's always too warm to climb it or to hike up to the top. However, when I was outside with Max the other day, I was like, you know what? That could be a challenge that I could attempt. Now is the best time because it's not super hot, the sun is not burning down. I could actually conquer Peavine Mountain in February. So I'm trying to expand my hikes towards the top of Peavine Mountain and explore there. Already took some footage, I'm gonna put it up here, but that's what I'm going to do instead. And the other thing that was on my outside list was to walk every day, be outside when I'm in Philly at the Philadelphia Pen Show. And I'm so glad I talked about that beforehand because it was so good that I did. I'm going to share some photos of things that I saw there. I'm always someone who really loves architecture, and you know, seeing lines in buildings makes me happy. And so I took photos of that. I love exploring different neighborhoods. Yeah, looking at houses brings me joy. And so that's what I did while I was in Philly, and I had a really good time. I usually went, or the 3 days that I was there, yep, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I went outside in the morning. Basically during breakfast time, I got coffee, I got something to eat, I walked around, I got back before the show opened, and it was really good. So, wow, that was just perfect. And then the last thing that I did was the dice game, which I'm not going to do this time around because I just bought something today that I want to do, and I'm going to tell you all about it. Was the ink exploration journal. Friends, I procrastinated so hard on that, but I actually did it, and I want to show you some happy mail that I got. I want to show you the ink exploration that I did, and then I'm going to show you or tell you all about the happy mail that I want to send in February, the food I talked about, like the goals that I want to have for February. Let's not say goals, the projects that I'm trying to tackle in February. I have it all put together with an elastic here. So this was my first ink exploration journal here. It started like this in a long time ago. And then I pivoted when this wasn't doing it for me anymore. I pivoted to, it did it a long time for me. I pivoted to this right here. I would do an ink blob right here. I would do writing samples right here, water tests, chromatography. And then I was gifted this book. And so instead of moving into another, I used this one for it. I do an ink blob right here. This, I think, is no longer in production. And so I haven't used this since. As you can see, I tried one in April 2025, and then unfortunately the sample that I had was contaminated and disgusting. It was super slimy, so I stopped the second that I noticed. Before that, the last one I did in December 2023, and now is January of 2026. this is your sign to not force yourself to do stuff until you're ready. I kind of pushed myself toward it, but this was a lot of fun. And I wouldn't have done it hadn't I just like, there was an evening that I was doom scrolling yet again. And I was, no, let me do something productive. Let me do something. I didn't want to journal. I didn't want to do anything. And so I decided, let me just play with ink. So I did this. So much fun. I knew there was, it's a weird ink. There is some pink in here. The water test definitely is not waterproof or anything. I like this color. So, and then there was ink left. So I did my January title page with it. So I played more with this ink. And then there was still ink left. And so I did some ink blobs right here. So many different ways of playing with ink. And they're all different. And they're all fun. So that was cool. So I'm going to do that not more often in the sense that I'm going to put this into my routine and every month I need to crank out a page. No, I'm just going to put this back onto the shelf and back onto the dice game cards. And whenever it comes up, it comes up. And when it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm okay with occasionally working in this notebook. And maybe after this, and maybe I have the feeling that I need to do this more and more. That could be the case too. I'm not going to force. This, I feel, is a gentle suggestion, but deciding that now this is what I'm going to do all the time, that's not what I want this to be. Okay, so let's talk knitting. Knitting. I want to work on the socks. Mail. I originally thought I was going to send out 3 letters. There's 3 weekends in February. And if I give myself about 1.5 week-ish while, I could do it. However, I went to Michael's today and I bought stuff. And so that's not going to work. So I want to send the bookmark. I want to send 1 letter. I'm going down from 3 to 1 letter. 1 actual, like, longer form letter writing. And that's my crafty project for the month. The one that I'm not doing the dice game with. I bought things. And I saw these, what are they again? What are they called again? I know that they're super conversation hearts, I think. I saw these and I just pulled them off the shelf and bought them. And then I saw what is written on it when I was home. Like, they're a little less friendshipy and more lovey-dovey. So if I really want to send them out to friends as like charms or progress keepers for knitting, then, or crocheting or something, or even as bag charms, like zipper pouches you could put them on, then I need to send them very close to Valentine's Day, which gives me 1.5 weeks. I have 4x4, that's 16. That's a lot. Wow, I didn't even, okay. So, but there's one. Kiss me, love wins, I'm yours, I love you, be kind, so cute, love you, be mine, BFF, true love, hug me, sweetheart. Yeah. So, yeah, a little too lovey-dovey in comparison to what I thought they would be, like more sweet, but I want to, so I bought jump rings. And I bought these small charms as well. And my idea is to add one of those like gemstones to the hearts and then use a lobster clasp, or maybe add a stitch marker as well. I don't know, like one of those metal ones so they could be hung from a project more easily. Well, if you are a friend who knits, let me know. Maybe I'll do this, and then if you are a knitter and you want it as a progress keeper, then you would just exchange it yourself. But that's the thought. I want to make this one for my friend so that I can send the bookmark and the charm together. And then I fell in love with these as well. And again, I feel like I could, there's 24 pieces. This is 16 plus 9 is 25. So it's not enough, right? We'll see. I will figure out how many friends I want to send this to, and then I can always buy more of these, or maybe buy something else that I could add to here. I feel like it would be nice if it was a little dangly. So that's the project that I want to work on in February. And these ones need to be sent out by the 13th of February at the latest. And so what I need to do in order to do this is make a list and figure out who I want to send this to. 16 and then 16, and then here is 20 pieces. So I won't even be able to, maybe I have more of these. I don't know. These are lobster clasps. So Valentine's for friends. I make list. Send, make charms, send out. And my deadline for most of them, especially for the hearts, is February 13th. Okay, so that is Happy Mail plus my crafty project. Food, I said I want to report back on the yogurt cookie cake, yogurt cookie dessert, outside. I want to pea vine ascent. Man, I actually fell onto my butt when I hiked the other day. Yeah, that is all that I have to share today. I really like doing this. I wasn't so sure if filming these would even make sense, because again, I could look at the list from January and think, oh my gosh, I'm a total failure. But also, I was able to do quite a few of the things that I set out to do. And I don't think I would have been able to do them had I not thought about them beforehand. Like going outside in Philly, like sending those thank you notes, like sending that Happy Mail package that I want to link you to. That was just so good. And also the inky exploration was so nice to do. So I'm really going to, for now, continue filming these monthly making diary videos for two reasons. Because I love sharing all the stuff, obviously. And the other reason is to figure out how many projects and how many things I can realistically take on without feeling like I'm failing at the stuff that I'm doing, if that makes sense. So I hope I inspired you to think about stuff that you would like to do, get it underway, escape from reality for a little bit of time so that you're back and can fight the real fight everywhere. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again soon. Until next time, bye.